Arizona secures one of its biggest wins in recent memory with a beatdown of San Diego State. How did this happen? How did we get to this point? And a lot more. Let's get started here on Locked On Wildcats.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. Thank you so much for joining us here. A happy Monday to everybody. All right, we got a ton to get to. And by a ton, I mean we've got a ton to get to. First, Arizona with, I'll be honest with you. Again, I get that we're probably going to find out this isn't a great San Diego State team. Totally get it. I also don't care. This is Arizona has won, one of their last 20 games, something like that. And they came out there and they laid a beat down on San Diego State. And if it was 38-20, it could have been a lot worse than that, to be honest with you. But let's just start. And we've been talking about this all season or all off season. Last year's team, if you had a Jayden de Laura, is not a bad football team by any means. Now, it is a bad football team, but it's not a team that would have only won one game and would have lost in some of the manners that they would have. They probably would have won 3 or 4 games, which is obviously a lot different than what happened last year. You saw with de Laura that he's a gamer. This Jayden de Laura is that dude. He is a guy that he's able to extend plays. He's able to get out there. He's able to move out of the pocket, and he's able to just make plays happen. He's able to get going, and you saw that when he was able to extend plays. Arizona looked like a drastically different football team than we have seen in recent years, to be honest with you. And as we talked about, it's also really important what he was able to do, though, by getting all the receivers involved. We're going to talk about Jacob Cowing. We're going to talk about Jacob Cowing. We're going to talk about basically everything that happened here. But big kudos to Jayden de Laura right there, because this felt like the first time that Arizona had a real dual threat type quarterback that could make plays and that could get out of the pocket. And we talked about it before, but those wide receivers are absolutely fantastic. And it starts with Jacob Cowing, kid out of UTEP. Going into the year, we thought that, he would be good. This is an NFL player. Jacob Cowing is an NFL player. And there's really no other way around that. He's everything that I think Arizona fans were hoping that they would get. And I think what's fascinating, too, is that the receiving core all works together. You look at Jacob Cowing, he's your best player. Then you look at T-Mac, that really big possession-type receiver that can go up there, make plays, get touchdowns. We saw that. And then Dorian Singer. Dorian Singer is a heck of a player. Dorian Singer is the player that is going to be maybe an NFL player. Obviously a little bit probably an underrated player out of Pinnacle High School in Phoenix, but those 3 right there, they're not USC good. I get all that, but they're also not that far off though either. This is one of the 2 best receiving cores in the conference, and you certainly saw that. Now, when it comes to the rest of this team, you look at the running back unit, you look at DJ Williams, you look at what he was able to do. He could play. There were a lot of questions about where Arizona was going to stand right there. DJ Williams can play. He's going to be able to run the ball. They're going to be able to get into that formation and run the ball down people's throats. Now, when it comes to the skill position, guys, honestly, fellas, or ladies and gentlemen, this is a team that's going to be able to score on pretty much anybody. Again, it's not a great team. I get all that, but they're going to be able to put points on the board, and because they have good enough players to be able to do that. The offensive line, I was fine with. The offensive line was able to salt the game away when it really mattered. And by salt the game away, I mean that they were able to run the ball at San Diego State and just basically wear San Diego State down. How many times have we talked about it in the past where Arizona is the team that's lighter, that's just getting beat up in the trenches, and and that's kind of where we're at. Arizona was able to put the whooping down right there, and that was a good thing to see. A big tip of the cap to the University of Arizona offense right there. Also, Jedd Fisch, we're going to keep talking about Jedd Fisch, but Jedd Fisch is the man. I can't tell you how impressive it's been watching this overhaul of talent in just 1 year. Jedd Fisch came in and he said that, all right, Arizona is going to, recruiting will be the lifeblood of our program. Recruiting will be the basically where it's at. Recruiting is going to be that. And that recruiting class that he brought in changed everything. A lot of those guys, most of those guys that we're talking about are new players. Jayden de Laura, new player. Big Jonas Sabanea on the offensive line, new player. Jacob Cowing, T-Mac, Dorian Singer in his first year at the in his second year at the U of A. Those are the guys that were built on right there, and that's what Arizona was able to do. And then you look on the defensive side of the ball, and this is why I thought Arizona was going to win, because I don't think San Diego State has very good players, to be honest with you. Certainly not as good of players as Arizona, which is definitely a super juxtapose from just last year at this time. You look at the players that they have out there, these are guys that are able to just make an impact in a big way. They're able to just change the game. And you saw that on the defensive and offensive side of the ball. Let's talk about Hunter Echols. Hunter Echols was everywhere. Now, again, I think a lot of people have questions about Echols and where is he exactly? Where is he on, in the grand scheme of things? Is he going to be able to be is he going to be one of those guys that just looks good, or is he going to be one of those players that, is able to be a real difference maker? Well, we saw in week one, we saw a player that is a difference maker, a guy who is going to be a difference maker and is going to continue to be a difference maker. Hunter Echols is that dude right there. Just got to keep him healthy. He and Jalen Harris were absolutely fantastic. The defensive line as a whole, very, very impressed by what they were able to do. We talked about it again, but when you got Keon Bars, when you've got Paris Sham, when you've got Tia Savea on the inside, and then on the outside, you've got Jalen Harris, Hunter Echols. They were everything that we would hope. Jerry Roberts is also the man. Jerry Roberts, I thought before the season that Jerry Roberts might be a outside the box pick for a conference player of the, for an all conference type pick. And there's nothing from that game that leads you to indicate or leads me to believe that he isn't going to be that player. He's got that type of potential to him. Now, when it comes to the secondary, I don't like having Isaiah Rutherford out there at the corner. I'm sure he's a great kid. I don't think he's very good. They got to get Traden Stukes. They got to get those other guys in there. Everybody else is good, though. Christian Roland Wallace can play. Christian Roland Wallace can play. Stukes can play. Decario Davis, Prysock. Those are the guys that I would roll with right there. And then at that safety spot, you got play. You got plays from Jackson Turner. You got plays from Christian Young. It was an all-around performance right there. And the tight end. Think about it. The tight end position has always been kind of a joke when it comes to Arizona. And when it comes to coaches promising that, all right, we're going to utilize the tight end, because it doesn't happen. It never happens. They utilize the tight end now. And you saw that again. Maybe it wasn't the manner in which we thought, but you got Tanner McLaughlin, got some great moves in there, and it's going to be fascinating to see how everything feels going forward. We're going to talk some Mississippi State. That line is out. Obviously, it's at 9 right now. Maybe Arizona could lose. Who knows? But Arizona went in and you won against San Diego State, a team that you needed to beat. A team that you were an underdog in, and a team that you needed to be able to go in there and just be able to beat. And Arizona did that. And there is something to be said for just taking care of business when you're going to be taking care of business. And Arizona certainly took care of business right there. Big deal right there. Again, Arizona, back the A right there, all the way to that victory. Big time stuff right there from the Wildcats. Now, What was maybe most impressive, though, about the San Diego State game is that Arizona clearly had better players than San Diego State. You watch that game, San Diego State is a team that just, to be honest with you, they've been a solid program. They've been that 8 or that 9 win team. They've been that type of situation right there. And to be honest with you, if they were to play 10 times, Arizona's beat San Diego State 8 or 9 of those times. Arizona just had better players. There's a new era in town right here. And Jedd Fisch said it's personal. Now, the next game is going to be bonkers. People got to show up again, Mississippi State, because if you beat Mississippi State, then all of a sudden you're looking at a team right there that could possibly, and it just feels so weird to say this, be on the verge of possibly being ranked, which is just bizarre when you think about it. But again, it's baby steps. Totally get that. One game at a time. Let's just soak up this win, though. But from the running backs to the wide receivers to the D-line, there needs to be a player who, Jedd Fisch, just a massive, massive tip of the cap to Jedd Fisch right there. This is a guy right here that a lot of people thought maybe he was kind of a used car salesman. Maybe, maybe just won that. He wasn't the coach. It wasn't a good play caller. And I said all of last year, nobody knows. That's the thing. Nobody knows. Nobody has any idea if Jedd Fisch can coach or not last year based off the talent that he had to work with. You could tell this year that Jedd Fisch, he's got some talent, and you're going to find out this year if he can coach. And so far, so good. That was an A++ performance out there by the University of Arizona. There's really nothing that you couldn't come away with being happy. Maybe you'd like to see Speedy Luke fam get a little bit more involved. But again, teams are going to be ready for him. Speedy is the player that not a lot of people know about, or excuse me, a lot of everybody knows about because of what he did last year at in the Under Armour game or the Army All-American Bowl, what he's done so far in scrimmages. People know that he's a problem. So Arizona will incorporate him. They will get him involved, but it's going to be certainly a little bit of a process right there. But there is just the overhaul of talent right there is just absolutely mind-boggling for, just to watch as an Arizona fan right there. And honestly, I thought Arizona would win, but I thought it was going to be something like 27-24. I didn't really see this being the type of game where Arizona just goes out and smokes a team, and they absolutely smoked that team right there. San Diego State is a squad that probably still going to win 7-8 games, something like that. Who knows? Maybe a few more, maybe a few less. Don't know. But it's a solid team. It's a solid win. This isn't like beating NAU. Revenge game. This isn't like beating Weber State or anything like that. This was a game. This was a big time win right there for Arizona. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise as well. That's where we're at. Okay. Now, I don't want to look ahead too far, but you're Arizona fans. It's fun to look ahead a little bit. But one thing that I do got to tell you though all about is the BetOnline Sportsbook. BetOnline is where you want to go for everything betting related. You get a lot of people now that are not how do I put this? Into betting sites because they think it's confusing. They don't know, what's going on. BetOnline Sportsbook cuts through all of that. And they cuts through all of that, So Arizona is a team that right now is looking to make that move. He's looking to make that move and go on and back the A. Again, been telling you all year, loved the over of 3 wins, loved the over of 1.5 wins in conference. Check that out, BetOnline Sportsbook. We will be right back with you talking a little bit of Mississippi State, talking a little bit more about Arizona. We'll be right back with you. You are listening to Locked On Wildcats podcast. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, we are talking about Arizona's 38-20 thrashing of the San Diego State University. And thrashing is maybe a little bit of an understatement right there. This is a squad right now that is just better, is light years better than San Diego State. It just is. Arizona was last year. And you can start looking at the schedule now and say, what games can't Arizona win? And I think that's what's interesting about this entire situation. What games can't Arizona win? They can clearly, I think they're going to have a tough time against USC. Again, I know that USC is still light on both sides of the line. I get that. But Caleb Jones at the quarterback position, Mario Williams, Jordan Addison, Gary Bryant, Brendan Rice, those are all difference maker type players. Now, when it comes to the University of Arizona, I think that they can certainly beat Oregon. I wasn't big on Oregon this year either. Oregon, to me, they look cute, but they're just not big enough. I thought Georgia was going to blast them in that game, and Georgia did end up blasting them in that game. That didn't really surprise me. So I think Arizona can compete with Oregon. I also think that Arizona, though, is going to go into pretty much every game outside of USC and probably Utah. Utah's solid. They're at another stage right there. Those are the only two games I go into right there, saying that this is going to be maybe a tough win for Arizona. Arizona can beat a lot of these teams on the schedule, but we're going to know a lot more after Mississippi State when the vaunted SEC team comes into town. And if Arizona can beat it, Mississippi State, or if they can just stay close, you got to feel pretty good about things, because remember, Mississippi State's a little bit of a different situation right here in that, yes, they're an SEC team, but they're more of a Pac-12 type team in that Mike Leach is there. It's very much of a spread. You're looking to score a lot of points. You're looking to wing the ball all over the field. It's different than what you do see at generally what you see from SEC teams. So I think Arizona's got a chance. Again, Arizona's going to be it's going to be a difficult game for sure, but people got to rock that stadium. There is no doubt about it. People got to rock that stadium. Jed Fish has told everybody that this is the imperative part, is to get fans out there. Again, everything he promised has come true so far. He said that they would recruit. He said they would have a staff. He said that they would have basically everything going right there, and they did. Again, so we're going to take a quick break right here. We'll be right back with you. You are listening to Locked On Wildcats. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now we're at the point too with Arizona where, again, we can recalibrate these expectations right here. We can look at it and say, you know what? It's okay. They are a very good they're a very good squad right here. So here we go. Now, let's go. When it comes to the University of Arizona, it does come to Wildcats, and it comes to just winning that game right there. Big thing about Arizona, though, that's very impressive, though, is that you're going into a game, and again, you're going into a game knowing that you can win. And that means something right there. That means something big time. That means something that Arizona right now can do. Right now, we're at the point to where Arizona is in there. Arizona is going to compete with anybody. The crowd's got to show up. And like we've talked about too, Arizona fans have a history of showing up when it really does matter right here. And so one thing that is fascinating, though, is that Arizona, all the fans right here show up because, again, SEC teams are used to playing in big programs right there. And here's what we got. One thing that I think is very fascinating about all of this is that Arizona is right now is in a big spot right here. They're going to be able to make some plays right here. So again, everybody get out there. We're going to have a lot more to talk about. We got a presser coming up. We got all of that stuff, but everybody out there, thanks a ton for making the Locked On Wildcats go like this. We will be talking with you soon. Back the A. We will be back with you. You all have a great rest of your Monday. You have been listening to the Locked On Wildcats podcast.